Out here, trust isn't optional. It's essential. That's why crew around the world rely on Asperton insurance advisors. Built by former yacht crew, we know the risks, and we know how to protect you. Medical emergencies, mental health, active lifestyles. We've got you covered 24/7. Discreet support, personal service, global reach. Asperton Insurance Advisors, designed for life at sea. Visit asperton.com today.
Welcome to your 5 minutes of self-care. So in the last weeks we have spoken about manipulation and what happens when you have your new true freedom and you're not used to it. So what does this really mean, freedom? That means you can do whatever you want. However, do not fall into the trap that this means we can be procrastinating and lazy. If you actually choose and decide to step into this uncertainty and freedom, it requires us to be even more diligent with our self-care practice, meaning you show up every morning for yourself, for the meditation, the movement practice, what you eat, the people you hang around with. And this journey can be quite lonely for a while. And especially when you have these lessons that many of us have, which stem from codependency, from attachment styles of relationships. This means really you need to learn how to be independent, yet again, be social, but also enjoy your own company. And this can be challenging because you may be the person who has always been great fun to hang around with. You had so many friends and people love to be with you. And you did not really realize that your energy got sucked out of yourself every time when you were hanging around with this group or with a specific friend, or when you feel like, okay, why am I so exhausted, emotionally and mentally drained, and literally tired? When that happens, we can become overprotective at a certain stage and maybe close up our hearts. So I urge you to, yes, protect yourself, but keep your heart open. And yes, go into your cave, be in hermit mode, and that's absolutely okay. Enjoy your own company. Do have some really good friends around you, like a handful of friends. So when I used to step out of the high life, I was a bit like an it girl, like going out every night and making sure I looked the part, even though I did not feel like it, and drinking a lot of alcohol and be a lot of fun and a lot of laughing and a lot of silliness. Yet again, I could feel really empty inside of myself. And I could feel even lonelier because I was surrounded by a lot of people. Yet again, I was not being aligned within, knowing that this was not feeling right, but temporarily it was a gratification, a satisfaction. And you will experience that too. And you try to go maybe back to your old life and it does not happen. And when this happens, sometimes we also escape into other habits, like trying to seek guidance outside of ourselves by joining a different community, by changing modality, a different practice, by learning and studying something new. Now there, be really aware. Discernment is very key. It's very important. Because if you feel vulnerable and fragile and quite raw, like an open wound at that time, and you jump into a new community, a new spiritual practice, follow a new mentor, a guide, a master, a guru, whatever that is, have discernment. because you feel vulnerable. You still feel like, I've just been beaten up and I'm kind of licking my wounds in my corner. Take yourself time and have the discernment. There is a fine line of having discernment and not being overprotective and closing up your heart. And the only way how to do this is really start a meditation practice. And why do I always emphasize meditation? Meditation really works with your mind. It's a mind tool. It is so important to be able to understand your mind and how you can sabotage yourself, how you have done certain mistakes again and again because of certain belief patterns, habitual patterns. And these habitual patterns and the conditioning need to be broken. They need to be reversed so you can actually feel like a childlike wonder in awe of life, this innocence. Of course, our experiences, they do determine how we enjoy life and how we see life. Yet again, they happened in the past. They happened in the past. And if you always believe that we are the past version of ourselves with the past experiences, then you are taking yourself away from the present moment and the future that you can co-create. Because manifestation with the energy shifts at the moment happen instantaneously. Try it out. If you have a pretty shitty day, you feel like this does not work, and you get angry and upset, observe what happens. Does your day get better or does it get worse? Now then, if you see, okay, this does not work, it's getting worse, recalibrate. A nap, sleeping, meditation, ground yourself in nature, have a good conversation with a good friend. And when you notice the next time that your whole day is seems to spiral down from the mood, check in with yourself at that moment and learn. What am I thinking? Am I dominating my day with fear, with anger, with desire, with envy, with grief, with sadness? How can I pivot these emotions? How can I go quickly inside and figure out what is going on with myself and neutralize it through meditation, sports, having a nap, grounding in nature, going for a walk, having a good conversation with a friend? And if you can pivot and control your mind at that very stage and that moment, I promise you, your day is going to get better. It's definitely not going to get worse, but it's going to get better. And this is really key because manifestation takes place instantaneously. Meaning, control your mind. Control your mind. I'm not saying to you, control your emotions, because energy in motion, emotions are energy in motion. So really feel what's going on. Why do I feel this way? Why is this triggering me? Get to know yourself better and get to know how your mind functions. And once you get to know how your mind functions, you're able to control it better. And to avoid self-sabotaging mindset and behavior. Because if you believe inherently in your subconscious mind that you're not deserving, and unfortunately we human beings operate about 90% of our subconscious mind and only 10% of our consciousness. Now, if this is the case, what does this mean? that we, as much we want to consciously change, but if we do not change our subconscious and shine light into the darkest corners of our subconscious, these old belief patterns, these conditionings, if we don't do that, then we cannot really change. It does not matter how vegan you are, keto diet, whatever. If you eat well, you work out, and everything looks picture perfect, you can still feel unhappy. You need to work on your mind and understand what's going on, because the mind can sabotage our life in every single way. And it needs to be reprogrammed and unconditioned, and this will take a while, at least 30 days, at least 60 days. And so you can have the new earned freedom, but if you do not change the way you think and what you believe in, then even a new earned freedom will not last, because you will put yourself into the same situation again. If this is codependency, attachment style issues, working for the same toxic boss, just same, like it's kind of similar but same, or for being together with the same similar toxic person in a relationship. And these cycles, they continue. And be aware, in that vulnerable stage, in that fragile stage, the ex-boyfriend that was toxic could show up as a boss who's toxic, or the community you hang around and they were engaging in lower vibrational energies like addictions. That could also show up in a community that is apparently spiritual, but yet again bypassing, because there's a lot of ego, a lot of arrogance or pride. That is also dark. So that's something that, become aware of these things, and especially in that stage of vulnerability and fragility, because you just came out of a very challenging situation. Take yourself time. Be alone for a while. Get to know yourself better. Namaha, namaste.